All right, team. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing good today. The government shutdown is over. People are actually starting to return back to work today. Markets actually dropped pretty significantly leading into tomorrow. I think it was kind of like a buy the rumor, sell the news event. If we take a look at yields, again, just to clarify, I'm going to have to change my title. I do not think we're going to get CPI inflation data today. In fact, when we check the government website, like CPI is actually supposed to come out on this site right here. It still says they're closed, and so they're a little bit slower than apparently the Department of they're a little bit slower than the Department of Labor, because the Department of Labor honestly is on top of it here. I still don't think we're gonna get jobless claims. Usually the Department of Labor is who releases jobless claims reports, and so I don't think we're gonna get jobless claims, but we do have at least the Department of Labor updated their site, and look at what it says. It says, due to the enactment of the CR, all departments of labor agencies have resumed full operations as of yesterday. And these are the guys that usually push out jobless claims. Again, I don't think we're going to get that today either. Maybe we'll get delayed data, but I think we already got CPI for September, right? So it came in at 3% if I remember correctly. And so, yeah, I don't think we're going to get CPI today. Yeah, ADP came out Tuesday. They're going to still drop it every Tuesday. At least we'll have, when the real data gets back, we should actually have more data than we normally do, because now every Tuesday we're going to get an ADP report. Even though they were late Tuesday, I'm not going to judge them for it too much. Disney did report earnings. Michael Burry closed Scion Capital. Honestly, I think my theory was correct. I think Michael Burry posted that stuff when he was underwater. And I think my theory on it was correct. He got in Palantir, Nvidia, much lower than they are now, even with the drops. And we had Disney come out. Disney mostly flat from their numbers. They posted roughly flat EPS, roughly flat revenue. Nvidia down to 190s, NASDAQ at 25,550s. But again, Burry closed Scion Capital. If you look at this here, here's yields right now. I don't know if I showed you guys yields. 4.096% today. So, kind of flat still. They haven't really moved much in the last few days. They've been just kind of going back and forth for yields. If we take a look at the Fed watch tool, it's now... Wait. Okay, yeah, now there's a 46% chance. We pause. 54% chance we cut 25 basis points. And this is after we had a couple Fed officials pushing for 50 basis points the last few days. But yeah, Scion Capital is now closed. Michael Burry's fund, Scion Asset Management, closed. We got this letter from him. And this is the letter we got from Burry. It says, with a heavy heart, I will liquidate the funds and return capital, but for a small audit tax holdback by year's end. My estimation of value in securities is not now, and has not been for some time, in sync with markets. With heartfelt thanks, but also with apologies, I wish you well in your future investment. I do suggest you contact, whomever. Phil's a great guy, basically. And yeah, Michael Burry closed down Scion. We got that news yesterday. Again, probably because he was underwater. And again, I like Michael Burry. I kind of feel bad for him. Honestly, he might have made, holding for the next year or two, or whenever the market does decide to correct, which nobody knows, is a risky thing with the position size. Honestly, to be honest, I think he just took too large a position size. So I think he lost like 10 million, and now he shut it down again. That was like 9 point something million. I don't know if we're ever going to get CPI, to be honest. We should get an updated labor report, though. Honestly, look at my level here. 550 held. Are you saying you called that level, bro? Let me see. I can always check this. Hold on, let me check your name. Yeah, honestly, 25,550 is the level. But, I mean, it went down to 25,535s. But, I had this level on my chart yesterday. 550. But I looked it up, and you did say 550. Yeah, I mean, if we take a look at the NASDAQ, the S&P here, mostly flat, slightly down a little bit for the NQ. The SPY or the S&P is down slightly a little bit as well. Not a huge day again. Yeah, the shutdown is over. Today, the government's back up and running. And again, we'll see if we get an update for BLS. That's who I'm waiting for. We'll see if the BLS gives us an update. They should. But again, the White House said yesterday that the October inflation as well as jobs report will probably never see it, according to the White House. Now, we might see one. I'm not sure. But we might see something. But even if we do see it, it's not going to be accurate. It's just not going to be accurate, just to know. Yeah, let me do a poll with the... I'm just going to do the poll with the shutdown now over. Are you bullish or bearish market? All right, vote on the poll. Poll is now live. Yeah, market's a little muted, to be honest. It's not, you know, I think it kind of goes to show the buy the rumor, sell the news dynamic that we see in markets a lot. What do I mean by that? I mean, a lot of the time the market's going to push up leading into the opening, and then once we actually open, we might correct. We might get some profit taking. And I think we're down a little bit today. We saw some correction yesterday because the government shutdown was ending. But again, we got this big move up leading into it, and maybe we're going to get a correction. I'm really not sure. But I know we see that a lot with a lot of different things. And again, Michael Burry shutting down his fund. He also, Burry posted a little bit as well here if we look at it. He posted... He clarified some things. He said, so I bought 50,000 of these things for 184. We had some big news sources basically saying that he lost $1 billion or like 900 million. Look, so CNBC said he lost $912 million, or that he bet 912 million. He said, so I bought 50K of these for 184. Each of those things is 100. So I spent 9.2 million. Each of those let me sell Palantir at $50 in 2027. That was done last month. On to much better things, November 25th. So he might have sold here, like I thought he might have. Where'd he go? Where did he sell? He might have sold. When did he do the October post here? Hold on. Yeah, this might have been when he sold right here. Sometimes we see bubbles. Sometimes there's something to do about it. Sometimes the only winning move is to not play, which is, again, was my theory to begin with. This sounds like somebody that had to sell a short position, you know? Yeah, crypto announcement on the 25th. I'm watching for it. Yeah, we'll see. Again, Burry closing Scion Capital. Scion asset management. You know, whatever you want to call it. A fund, but not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. Bitcoin down a little bit today. Bitcoin, as we speak here, is currently sitting at just under 103,000 here. Look at Bitcoin. Down a little bit from yesterday. Again, it was sitting around 105 when we looked at it yesterday, but it's dipped a little bit this morning. Gold, again, with the government resuming, is back up to basically all-time highs again. Gold back up to all-time highs. Not quite there. I mean, we still got a couple $100, but it's at 42.30s right now for gold. 42.30s. Meta Platforms was added to the Wedbush ideas. I'm in Meta. I'm green now, but I'm red on the position overall. You think the $2,000 dividend is bullish? Yeah, I mean, I think it's stimulative, if that makes sense. Like, I think people are going to spend money, and that might stimulate the economy in some ways. But is it good? I don't know. I think it can cause inflation. But, I mean, I'm kind of neutral on it. I like the fact, even though I don't get it, I like the fact that it's only for people who make less than $100,000 a year. I think that's the right way to do it. I don't think people like me and who make over $100,000 a year should really get $2,000 free dollars. I just don't think you should, you know. I think it's wasted money if you give people like that $2,000 for, you know, give it to the people that need it, and everybody else doesn't need it. So. No, I agree with that, David. That's right. I don't think we have CPI data today, actually. Government is officially open, yes. I don't think we have CPI data today. That's why it's a question in my chat. It said, will we get CPI data? I don't think we're going to. And the reason we're not is because it's the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Again, I showed this earlier. The Department of Labor is the one that publishes jobless claims, I think. Let me make sure. Yeah, Department of Labor. It's called the Unemployment Insurance Weekly Claims Report by the Department of Labor. I don't think we're getting it today, though. And the Department of Labor's website is, I mean, at least they updated it. Man. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get jobless claims either. Because they just opened up today. They haven't been pulling the data. Jobless claims, the reason jobless claims is relevant every week is because it's a weekly report. It's a more real-time look at labor, right? Versus like a little bit more lagging unemployment or something like that, or payrolls or whatever you want to look at. A little bit more lagging. Jobless claims is more recent. But the problem is that since the government's been shut down, they haven't been pulling the jobless claims data. I'm pretty sure they haven't. Let me check to make sure. I mean, in theory, some of these agencies should have some of this data, because I don't know why they would furlough what most people would consider essential stuff like this, but it seems like they all did. You know, like, give whoever sits there and stays there during the government shutdown, you know, an extra 10% on their next check or whatever, and you're going to have people that are willing to compile it even while the government's shut down. So I'm not sure why a lot of people are going to consider most of this data vital, especially in terms of economics. So it's kind of wild that we're not getting it. If we don't get CPI, it'll be the first time we don't get CPI, I think ever, if I remember correctly, for October. First time we're skipping a month completely. If they don't report CPI for October, it will be the first time they're skipping a month completely, and that we don't actually have data for a specific month, or a report for a specific month, I should say. I'm waiting for the BLS to open up, though. She already said no data, but the shock was, yeah, I saw that. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. What's your thoughts on the portable mortgage stuff? I think throughout all of these things, throughout the 50-year idea, portable idea, I think the banks are the winners. And so if we start doing stuff like that, banking, you know, I mean, I looked at JP Morgan. JP Morgan has been going up for 3-4 years straight. They just broke highs yesterday. And so I think smart money's piling into some of these. You know, see what happens. I'm not telling you to do it, though. I don't know. Again, we're up a lot. We're up a lot. And some of this is, again, buy the rumor, sell the news. So the big moves are happening ahead of the event. And then once the event happens, sometimes they correct. CPI is not set to drop until 8:30. If it does drop, and I don't necessarily think it's coming out today in an hour. I don't think it's coming out, but it might. I don't know. It could. I just don't think it will. Yeah, what are you talking about? 1538. What are you talking about, bro? The last CPI report we got was for September, and that was last month. Mid-October is when we got that report. Nothing's out this morning for sure. Again, Redfin reported that pending home sales slip as would-be buyers wait for lower rates and economic clarity regarding what's going on right now. Again, we had JD.com says that Q3 loss in food delivery business narrowed quarter over quarter. Quarterly active consumer numbers were up 40% in Q3. Wedbush, again, added Meta to its best idea list. Again, Disney posted these earnings right here. I'll put these numbers up in chat. They basically came in flat. Yeah, there's yeah, look, I just thought about that pawn. Maybe he's talking about a different, I mean, we got Euro GDP coming out tomorrow. This morning we didn't really have any major big, you know. We had English GDP. Yeah, I mean, earnings were okay for Disney. They beat EPS in revenue. Mostly flat everywhere, though. You know, they did say they expect to invest approximately $24 billion in content across entertainment and sports next year, $1 billion increase year over year. So last year was 23. They're now expecting to spend $24 billion in 2026 on content across entertainment and sports in the fiscal year of 2026. So that news is out. We have AMD down to 255s. Google's down. Most things are slightly red today. Slightly red. All right, guys. Again, I don't think we're going to get CPI inflation data today. I'm checking it a little bit more. Got one of the UK members speaking. Oil and gold. Again, gold's still very elevated on the day. Look at gold up here at 42.40s. Meta all the way down to $600 a share here. How will backdated data get released? I'm not sure. I'm waiting for the BLS to update their site, to be honest, because, again, at the very least, the Department of Labor, who releases jobless claims, they've updated their site to say, due to the enactment of the CR, basically we're back running as of yesterday. And so I'm just waiting for an update on when we're going to get this data. It might not be today. Maybe it'll be tomorrow. At the very least, what we should see is we should see PPI inflation, September labor jobs, JOLTS job report, and more from the BLS specifically. And I think PCE, although who does PCE? PCE is the Bureau of Economic Analysis. So we should get PCE data that's delayed. There should be a lot of different reports that we're going to start getting over the next week. Now, I don't know exactly when we're going to get them, but there should be a decent amount of reports that we get over the next week. NASDAQ just ripped up a little bit to 25,600s here. So the NASDAQ is bouncing back some. Tencent says all our GPUs are sufficient for our internal use. There is some limiting factor for external cloud revenue. RTX says Prudential is going to assume benefits for 60,000 retirees via an SEC filing. And we also had news that Starbucks is seeing minimal impact from union strike at some stores on the Red Cup day. Yeah, gold. Look at the NASDAQ, though, pump up here. I'm trying to see if there's news. Redfin, again, pending home sales 0.3% down from a year earlier during 4 weeks ending November 9th. They said homes that are selling are staying on the market longer. Also, JP Morgan is cautioning that, he said hedge fund caution may spark year-end rally. They say that equity markets could rebound by the year-end after hedge funds cut stock exposure to the lowest level in over a year in October. Analysts led by Nicholas Panagurtsoglu noted that this caution stance leaves rooms for gains if sentiment improves. Retail investors remain a major market force with trading activity that surged during the pandemic now stable but influential in overall market flows. So they think we're going to rally because of all the pessimism squeezes, essentially, is what they're saying. Maybe. You guys agree with it? Looking at our poll, we did a poll. Are you bullish or bearish today? 62% say bull, 38% say bear. At the very least, we should be back up and running with economic reports next week. Next week, we got jobless claims. We should have that actually out. Hopefully, they start pulling it now, but it'd be for the November 15th week. Import-export prices should be back running next week. Philly Fed Index should be back running next week. Fed minutes is going to be back. I mean, that's already here. Again, last week, remember, we were supposed to get non-farm payrolls and unemployment, but I don't know if we're ever going to get that. The median forecast for the unemployment report last week was negative 60,000 jobs. I think that's probably just from the shutdown. Again, Redfin says homes that are selling are staying on the market longer. Pending home sales slip as would-be buyers wait for lower rates, which is kind of something that a lot of people are expecting. Is that a lot of people are in these cheap mortgages that they got, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, and they can't necessarily sell right now because mortgage rates are still 6%, 7% or whatever. And so they're waiting to sell, and people think that when rates come down, it might cause like a snowball effect of selling coming in markets. I'm not 100% sure. This is just a thesis, but a lot of people actually have this thought of that home sales, I mean, there's some data that we're going to get, though, crypto. I mean, we're going to get, this is what it is, like, right? Like, we're not going to get October data in a lot of places. Possibly. We're not going to get October data, according to the White House. But we should get September data. So, like, remember, in September, we got, in September, the government wasn't closed. The government was not closed in September. The government was open in September. They were pulling this data as they needed to do. And usually September data is reported in October, and October data is reported in November. Since October was completely shut down, as per this November, we're probably not going to get a lot of the October data because the government was shut down the entire month of October. Now, we should still get what we should have gotten last month when the government was shut down, which is the September data. That data was still pulled for jolts, for PPI inflation, for a lot of stuff. So that data was still getting pulled. So we'll still get a lot of the September data, PCE inflation, jobless claims data for September that we missed, maybe a week of jobless claims. So we should get something. I don't know if it's going to be today, though. Oh, yeah, your mom sent you that. Look at me, bro. Look at me. I don't know if I look like him. Here, let me see. I look like a sweet kid. I was actually a little jerk in this picture. Like, if you look at the bottom one in the picture. I remember taking this picture, dude. I was a little jerk, bro. Look at this. I was such a little jerk in this picture. I was a little jerk, dude. I remember. They tried to get me to smile serious, and I was just horsing around just too much, you know? So, I was horsing around too. I remember I was causing problems. Yeah. 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 She's got another one of me playing baseball too, if you go ask her. It's me in my baseball outfit. Like, it's like one of the sports pictures. I was young though. Alright, I love you. Yeah. Do we get CPI data at 8:30? Probably not. Probably not. They could surprise release this old data. Or they could release it, just be like, hey, this data is really inaccurate, and release it. I don't know. They haven't really given us an update, and I'm waiting for the BLS to open. Again, the Department of Labor, they're on top of it. They've got at least this message that said, hey, we're back up. You know? The BLS is still pretending they're closed. You know? Website is currently not being updated due to the suspension of federal government services. Last update was October 24th. Come on, BLS. Yeah. But again, to clarify, I don't think we're getting CPI inflation data today. I just don't think we're going to get it. It's a little bit different than the last one, where like the last one I knew we weren't getting CPI. This one, it's kind of like it's scheduled, might be delayed. We at the very least in the next week or two, we should get updated PPI inflation, updated PCE inflation, updated jobless claims inflation for, again, specifically the month of September. We already got CPI for September. It came in at 3%. And again, just to cover some other breaking news today, Scion Asset Management, Michael Burry closed down his firm, his fund, asset management business. Again, a letter is circulating, which is a real letter, that Burry closing down Scion. This is what it said. We got this letter. This letter, October 27th. We see this letter. Scion Asset Management, with a heavy heart, I will liquidate the funds and return capital, but for a small audit tax holdback by year's end. My estimation of value securities is not now and has not been for some time in sync with markets. Heartfelt thanks, but also with apologies. I wish you the best in your future investments. You know, check out Phil, whoever Phil is. So yeah, again, underwater and shorting Palantir, Nvidia. My problem with Michael Burry, and again, he's way smarter than me, just to preface this, way smarter than me, definitely got a bigger net worth than me, definitely has more money, and overall is just a better person than I am, probably, you know. Not that hard to do, but now with that said, Burry needs to learn something from the Big Short 2008 situation. What happened in 2007, 2008? Burry might have been correct. He was a little bit early. And the other wild card is that the agencies have an incentive to keep things inflated. Everybody has an incentive to keep things inflated. What does that mean? That means that even if you're right and tech is overvalued, we might not see that bubble bursting for a long time. Why? Because people, markets, money in general have an incentive to keep things inflated for a while, right? And so taking some big bet against, positions, I get it. It's risky. It's super risky. And if you're managing other people's money, probably not the best move. We'll see later on if Michael Burry's right. Again, I got a lot of respect for Michael Burry. I really do. I think he's a smart dude. But you got to learn from your mistakes, Granted, his last mistake in 2008 made him billions and billions of dollars. But, lightning doesn't strike twice sometimes. And so you just got to be smart. Yeah, he's going private is what I heard as well. And so, which is smart. This is what he did after 2008. He went private. He reopened Scion back up in 2013, actually. So, isn't he green on Palantir and Nvidia shorts? Not from my understanding. Look, he probably got in Palantir and Nvidia shorts right around early September. Okay, early September. What does that mean? That means he probably got involved with some of these things right around 150s, 160 for Palantir, right around the start of September. We heard about it mid-October, which means there's a 45-day delay between filings. So he probably got in these somewhere around here or earlier, right? If that was the case, he's probably underwater up here, which is kind of where he sold, or where he sent the letter here, right? Sent the letter there. Or no, he sent the letter, I'm sorry. It was October 27th. So yeah, he sent the letter here. Which means he was down. Probably. I don't know for sure. Pure speculation. Don't copy me. If we do the same thing with Nvidia here. He got in right around the beginning of September. Yeah. That means he got in right around here. And again, he sold, or I don't know, he announced the closing of Scion here. So again, if that was the case, that's probably where he got out. And again, it kind of coincides with this post that he made, talking about sometimes there's things you can do about bubbles and other times there's not. Sometimes we see bubbles, sometimes there's something to do about it. Sometimes the only winning move is to not play. A War Games movie quote, but sounds like somebody that had to sell a, But again, maybe I'm wrong. Pure speculation. What's gold pricing? Where is gold? New all-time high. Crazy. Aren't we missing something? Well, I think gold's probably ripping up on a few different things. Gold is used as a conventional hedge against inflation. So if everybody's getting free money, gold might go up. And so the $2,000 stimulus is probably causing gold to rise a little bit, I think. Uncertainty. I don't know. Market's back open. Thing is, the data center play is over for now. There's no progress, no earnings. Investors are looking to see returns, and all these are doing is spending capex. Not wrong, he's just early. Sometimes that's the same thing. In fact, I think there's almost an exact movie quote of that in The Big Short. Again, Redfin says U.S. pending home sales fell 0.3%. People are waiting longer. Homes are sitting longer, they say. Still waiting to see if I can figure out the BLS update. Still, BLS hadn't even updated their website, bro. Come on now. Bureau of Labor Statistics. You know people are waiting on this stuff. Again, I don't think we're going to get CPI inflation data today. It's different than last time, though. Like, there's a chance we could. I don't think it's a super high chance, but I'm going to cover it just in case we do. But I don't think we're going to. Again, the delayed September jobs report may release as early as next week. Again, October CPI and jobs won't be published most likely. We have the November jobs data December 5th, so we should get some of the November data, but it's going to be a little bit inaccurate. And then on December 10th, we get CPI. So we got some data coming out early, next month, but is the background music too loud? It's honestly down a lot. I'll turn it down some more. I'm ready for the crazy rally when people receive their checks after 43 days. Maybe. Yeah, Meta's up. I'm green in Meta. That's good. You guys are red or green today? I think it was the press secretary, Jack. Poor guy, he only has 4 billion to his name. I know, man. Listen. Moment of silence for that man. You know. What a shame, you know. Gold. Very green because of gold. Yeah, and gold's up right now. Nasdaq is slightly red on the day, though. So, the question is, what do we get? I really don't know. The Northwest. Yeah, I don't even know what to trade, man. Honestly, the market has been complete crap the last few days. If we take a look at the Nasdaq yesterday, we've had a big range. Actually, the market just dumped yesterday. I remember the opening bell was crazy. I lost, and then I was like, I gotta shut this down, you know. Yeah, Bitcoin all the way back down to 103s, though. Yesterday it was at 105s. Are we in Santa rally territory yet? Yesterday we dipped, you know. Now we could dip in it leading into December, and then in December. Usually this, like when we do get a Santa rally, and I usually cover this because I stream every year, you know. Usually the Santa rallies the last 2 weeks of December is what I remember seeing. I can't remember though. Like, I think there's some years where we ran earlier in December, but if it's too early, I think people are just labeling any green move as Santa rally. So usually when we see it, it's like the end of the year. 20K on AMD yesterday. Nice. First red day in a month trading oil. Netflix back up leading into its split. Yeah, Netflix splits on Monday next week. Netflix will split effectively Monday next week. Again, Michael Burry shutting down his hedge fund, man. That's one of the big news of the day. Looking at our poll, 63% are bullish, 37% are bearish. We didn't get one last year. Market react negatively. I don't think we're going to get CPI. Personally, I just don't think we're going to get it. I'm in Meta. I bought Meta. Maybe I should add some to Meta. Risky move. But I can take whatever losses we take in it. I'll add just a little. Alright, we just added a little bit more to Meta. I'd add a tad bit more. Yeah. The only thing is, like, I gotta watch a position like this because we do get a tech correction. Meta might be at the heart of it. I'm also at Home Depot, but I'm mostly flat in Home Depot, but I kind of want to add a little bit to HD here. I think I will. Depot seems like. We just added some to Home Depot. Well, not an investment professional. Do not copy me. Do not copy me. Maybe hedge with gold. Yeah, look at gold. Gold just ripped up. Watch 4250s here. 4250s. Add small ads, to be honest. I'm not adding huge amounts here. Oh. $30 minutes. Yeah, if we get it. We might not get it, though. I don't see many individual stocks moving. Gold just tapped 4250s. Again, let's see if it breaks down at that level now. I would have shorted this, to be honest, in the NASDAQ because I like this type of short position. If we can get another bounce back up, I might take a small short here. We'll see. But I just want a little pop back up here. Just a little pop. All right, we'll try just a little. Oh, wow, look at that drop. I didn't even look at it until just now. I'm gonna add a little bit to this now, I think. There we go. I'm gonna take half of that off. Might add back here and just risk what I just made on a retracement. Pick 3 here. That's it. There we go. We can break down a little bit more. There we go. You'll love to see it here. Look at this. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this right here. It just went so far in my direction so quickly here. I'm trying to see if there's any news. It looks catalyst driven. It also just could be 8 a.m. scrum moving markets. 8 a.m. a lot of orders get filled because some brokerages open up. Fed's Daily says the Fed should be willing to change balance sheet approach. He does not comment on interest rate policy, economic outlook, and prepared remarks. But he did say something about that. Robinhood partners with GoPuff to offer cash delivery service. Yeah, we're probably not getting CPI. Like I said. What a drop. Gold rejected right there at 42.50. Pretty easy rejection level. These whole dollar round numbers make sense. Again, Daily says communication on balance sheet is essential. The Fed should be willing to change balance sheet approach. As that trending down. Again, I'm still checking the BLS. I want to see if they say anything here regarding resumption. Are they just not going to come back until tomorrow for the BLS? At the very least, bro, you know, I don't know. I guess you got to think about it like this. Government resumed yesterday. Everybody knew the government was going to resume yesterday, though. And so they can pull the whole, oh, well, it resumed at 8 or 9 o'clock, and we can't give people that late notice to come to work the next day. But everybody knew the government would resume. So they should have gotten that notice really yesterday morning, saying, "Hey, you gotta come to work on Friday." At the very least, they should have updated their freaking website already. Like, "Hey, we're back. Give you guys updates on this stuff." Probably not. We're probably not getting CPI today, to be completely honest. There's a small chance we do, so I'll cover it, but I don't think so. You guys loan me some cash? Speaking of loaning you cash, they stopped minting the penny. I'll give you 5 pennies in 10 years. Nike? The gold pulling back down a little bit. Nike up some. Was this earnings related? Yeah, we had Walt Disney, JD.com, Bitfarms, some other companies. Yeah, just to put this into perspective, the U.S. government, there's rumors that we're not going to ever get October CPI or October CPI, labor data, and more. The U.S. government has never permanently withheld a monthly jobs report in history, or CPI in history. BLS data has been released consistently since the 40s, with only some delays during the shutdowns in 2020. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to get the September data, September labor, PPI, JOLTS. We should get the Department of Labor jobless claims reports eventually, depending on which ones. We should get the September data, because remember, the government was closed the entire month of October, so we didn't get a lot of the September data either, but it's going to be delayed data. What I'm wondering is that if we're going to get PCE inflation data, which is done by the Bureau of Economic Analysis. They haven't opened up their website either. So, tell them to get back to work. You know? I'm not bossing them around, but they need to get back to work now. You know, at least update your website. Where's the BLS? The BLS has an X account. Let me look at them. You know, we got the last CPI report, which is... Pennies serve a purpose. I mean, I think you got to look at the decision to stop making pennies. You got to look at it like this. And this is, again, I think this is pretty obviously truth. You know, people want things to be a certain way, and they don't like digital money, and I get it. But money's mostly digital already. The amount of times I might use cash maybe once a year or maybe once a month for tips or to give somebody on the street some money or like whatever, right? That's the only time I ever use cash. Outside of that, I never use cash. Most of the time, I don't even use my cards either. And so money is gone digital already. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't ever use pennies, especially. Even when I do use cash, it's almost always paper money. Unless it's a vending machine, it's almost always paper. And even if it is a vending machine, I don't use pennies. And so I'm okay with them getting rid of pennies. It's just kind of wasting time minting them. We're still going to have them in circulation. You'll still be able to use them. But eventually, within like 10, 15 years, we're going to start seeing a lot less of them. But yeah, it's understandable, I think. Most money's digital anyway. Most people spend money digitally, I think is a better way to say it. So, you wait till the internet goes down? Well, the internet goes down, bro. We're going to have a lot bigger problems than not having pennies. Nobody's going to care about pennies. Nobody's going to care about paper money in general. They're going to care about food and medicines and stuff. If stuff hits the fan, paper money will be useless, you know. Especially pennies. Pennies are actually maybe, you know, they're made of nickel or whatever. Or what are pennies made of? Copper? I think it's some type of alloy now, right? Copper plated zinc, yeah. Used to be completely copper. If we would have kept that standard of metals in our money, we probably wouldn't have nearly as much inflation as we do now. It costs $14.99. I want my penny. Uber launches ski ride option. Partners with Vail Resorts. Robinhood GoPuff partner to offer cash delivery service. Okay, what is GoPuff? Is that what it's? I think it is. Yeah. Speaking of puffing, in the government reopening bill, they included a hemp ban. They snuck that in there, you know. And so, intoxicating hemp is what they're calling it, will now be banned in the United States. This is like the Delta variants of cannabis. This is a bunch of other stuff, I think, too. That stuff will be banned within a year. That is in the bill. There's a couple other things in the bill that were interesting, but yeah. Yeah, Nike's up. Nike's had a tough time, though, and the sneaker market overall has corrected a lot. So I think one of the things propping Nike up is obviously the sneaker market. And so I don't know if I like it here. I'm just nervous about it. I think it's a big market, and I think it'll probably be okay. But we have seen bear markets in collectibles, like the sports collectible bear markets, Pokemon bear markets. Like, we've seen collectible bear markets in history. Now, I think with the rise of the internet, it's a little bit more resilient. They're a little bit more resilient as industries now. but there's still risks. I don't hate it though. It just depends on how low it gets. I think Nike still makes a bunch of money. Yeah, so I actually researched a little bit about this hemp ban because I was curious about the effect on cannabis stocks. It said the bill signed this week. The new rule includes a ban on intoxicating hemp products like Delta 8. It's going to take effect 1 year from now, 365 days after the date the bill is signed into law. This means that the ban would likely go into effect mid-November of 2026 next year. So, other sources say January 1st, but there's a 1 year grace period, so I'm not really sure. Markets are still very flat, though. I ain't buying one of those dolls, Prova. Like a bunch of evil dolls? I don't want to buy that. For $500? Capitalism. Tilray had a nice run. Yeah, it might open the door for more business for them, really, if you look at it. Anything else you guys want to look at stock-wise? AMD down some today. Nike's a good long-term pickup. It'll be around for a while. I collected Pokemon cards as a kid. And I had all the good ones, too. I don't know what I did with my binder, but I lost it all. Yeah, I added some to Meta this morning. Yeah, it's down enough where I could probably get a small position. The Dow has been flying up, although it is down today, but the Dow, man, making huge rips. Look at the Dow over the last few weeks. Again, this is people loading out of tech stocks for the Dow. The Dow is up. People are getting out of tech a little bit more. Michael Burry might have been right. Again, he might have been right. And maybe that's why, like, again, the rumor is he's going private now, so he doesn't have to make these quarterly filings and get so much heat from people like me, I guess. I'm not even giving him heat. I'm just speculating on what's going on. I think he might be right. I think he might be early though, but he might be right. But yeah, the Dow ripping up, pulling back a little bit this morning, but still ripping up. A lot of stuff's down. Nasdaq's popping right back up to this 200 exponential. I almost want to short this right here though, unless this is catalyst driven. Should I short this? Interest? That's what makes me hesitant to get on board with Nike right now. Yeah, I mean, yeah, let me see if I can short this. Oh, I was gonna short it right here at the 200 EMA. I missed it. Again, I'm looking at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. What's up, buddy? Yeah. All right, love you, man. Good day, dude. Yeah, still no update from the BLS here. Yeah, I'm going to change my title to no CPI data at 8:30. Because I don't think we're getting it. Elaborate on Lilly. Eli Lilly's up a lot, isn't it? Had one of the crazier gains. I think they'll probably do a split sometime soon, but look at Eli Lilly. This thing was at 620s back in August. Now at over $1,000 a share. And I think anytime a stock gets this expensive, we might hear a split announced sometime in the next 6 months or so for it, as long as it holds these gains. All right, here's 25 sixes here. The NASDAQ kept higher. You're back in here. Love you. I know the finger. It's colorful. You know the Band-Aid? Looks great. I love you. Good luck with your finger today. Maddie cut her finger yesterday, so it was a traumatic experience. All right, love you. All right. Yeah, Eli Lilly up a lot. I don't really want to buy it up here. It's too expensive. All right, so here's a pullback. That 200 exponential is a level that the market looks at. You can kind of see the NASDAQ go down with it here. Yeah, Bitcoin still at 103s. Again, jobless claims delayed, CPI delayed. A little bit slower today, to be honest. You would think like we'd have all this updates. I'm trying to look at the Department of Labor. Again, they've updated their site, but again, I don't think they're going to be releasing jobless claims until at the very minimum next week, just based off of everything. Now, we might get delayed data and then start getting jobless claims next week, but it depends on if they're able to pull the data now. I should have shorted there at the 200 exponential. Your question above. Rolling. Wait, why are we not getting it, John? Shutdown is over. Right, but you got to think about how they pull this data. We might never get the October data. Why? Because they didn't. Okay. So generally speaking, with this data, they have actual people go out and get this data from businesses and consumers and everything. Since the government was shut down all of October, from October 1st up to November 12th is the timeline for the government shutdown. 43 days. Because nobody was there. No, it's not nobody. I don't know how they didn't deem some of these guys essential, but, you know, whatever. But because they didn't have anybody to go pull the data, they don't have the data for October. They don't have the information. You know, if they did, it'd be very light information. We might get one for December, in December for November, even though it's going to be missing, you know, roughly, you know, 2/5 of the data, since it's the 13th now. Assuming they go out and start pulling the actual data they need for next month now. But we're missing a full month of this data. And so again, we'll probably get September, because remember, September the government was open the entire time. And so we'll get September data eventually. I don't know when it's going to be, but we'll get September data eventually. They're just not going to get... They didn't have anybody here during the month of October since the whole government was shut down. Or not the whole government, but the government was shut down in October, so they didn't have people pulling the data, so we're probably not going to ever get that data. If we do, it's just going to be... It's going to be inaccurate. All right, so Fed's Daily says uncertainty has come down quite a bit in the United States. Fitch says France still has the potential to continue to boost the employment rate. Yeah, all good. Yeah, I mean, I see this thing where people say, oh, they don't want any of that data coming out. Who? The administration or the other side? You know, either way, I don't think that has much to do with it. You know, if anything, I think the data that we've seen, I think the president has been pushing for rate cuts the last year, right? And so, and he's been saying, hey, we need to lower rates, we need to lower rates, we need to lower rates. And so if we got weak labor data, that would prove him correct, actually. You know, that would prove him correct in that we should have cut rates earlier. Again, I'm not picking a side here. I'm not saying we should or shouldn't have cut rates. I'm not saying, you know, he's right or wrong or whatever it is. What I'm saying is that people assume weak data. People assume the current administration is going to try to hide weak data. I don't necessarily think that. I think weak data proves their argument that they were given out later or earlier this year. And so I think we're not getting data because the whole government was shut down the whole month. It was supposed to get pulled. And so I think that's a pretty logical reason, you know. Again, as I'm saying this, the Fed's Daily says, quote, the labor market has slowed quite a bit. I always thought New Balances were for old people, but my 13-year-old just bought a pair, and she said that's what's in now? Really? So that means I'm cool right now, guys. Look at my shoes. Look at this shoe right here. I bought these because I hurt my knee. Look at that shoe right there. This is the greatest shoe ever. Are these cool now? They had their time in like the early 2000s when New Balance was cool and everybody's wearing them. And then they had like a big period where they were not cool. I hurt my knee. I had to find something with arch support. And so, greatest shoe ever right here. All right, NASDAQ bouncing right at 550. 550 seems to be a level here as well. With that said, I'm in my 30s. I have no idea what's cool, right? I've given up on being cool. You got some people that are still holding on. They're like, hey, I'm cool in my 30s. Look at all this trendy stuff I'm doing. Look at my big baggy jeans and all that stuff. I'm not doing it. I already had my baggy jean era in the 90s. I refuse to go back to that. Again, in 5 years, y'all are going to look at yourself and be like, we looked freaking ridiculous. Why did we wear pants like that? Again, ask me how I know. I'm not doing it. Anyways, NASDAQ bouncing at 550s. Right, get off my lawn, guys. That's right, rollerblades, chef. I'm cool in my 40 size 42 Jinkos. Gotta get the rollerblades too, you know? Or like a Razor scooter, you know? How is the data not recorded, collected, managed electronically? I'm not sure. I think they go pull the data, like, physically. They go survey the actual people. Hold on, let me see. Heelys, dude. I had a pair of Heelys and I was so good at it. Like, dude, I could glide around town in Heelys. I was so good at it. Might have been the top 3 greatest. Those things were honestly genuinely fun. I was a skateboarder, so like I had Heelys. Yeah. All right. AMD down to 250s. All right, guys. Again, 4 minutes until we don't get CPI data. I don't think it's coming out. I think it would be a wild move for the Bureau of Labor Statistics not to update their website from the shutdown, not to give any warning, and then just randomly release the CPI data at 8:30. And so I just don't think it's going to happen. We'll see how the market responds when it doesn't happen. And again, the Nasdaq, S&P, Dow, mostly red today. Tech is red. People are circling out of tech. I think it's one of the reasons the Dow has run the last few days is because Dow's a little bit less tech heavy. People are a little nervous about tech. Again, on the other end of that, Michael Burry's Scion Asset Management closed down. I'm pretty sure he's going private now. But I also think he was probably wrong about the Palantir and Nvidia shorts. All right, so the Fed's daily said they haven't made a final decision yet on interest for December. He said it's premature to say definitely a cut or no cut in December. Really think there's a premium and on waiting to decide on rates until you have as much information. U.S. economy has cautious optimism. We still have to work to do to bring inflation down to 2%. The labor market has slowed quite a bit. Inflation on the way down, but it's still stubborn. My MCL's torn right now. I occasionally will pick up a skateboard and ride it, but it's not really. Hey, have fun, Pawn. Yeah, I think there's a premium on deciding rates right now, according to Fed Daily. He said, I really think there's a premium on waiting to decide on rates, is what I meant to say. Again, we do not get CPI at 8:30 today. Bureau of Labor Statistics has not even opened up their website. We've heard nothing from them. But at the very least, again, we already got a September inflation report. It came in at 3% year over year. Over the next week or two, we should get delayed September PPI inflation. We should get delayed JOLTS job report inflation. We should get delayed PCE. JOLTS job report. We should get a delayed labor report for September. We should get PCE inflation. And we might still get PCE data later this month for October as well, although I don't think so either. Again, here's 8:30. Again, I do not think we're going to get anything today. Yeah, Michael Burry closing Scion Capital. 56% chance. Yeah, the odds of a rate cut in December have fallen drastically. It's still a majority likely that we're going to get it, but it's less likely than it was. Yields are pretty flat. They're at just around 4.1% as they've been for the last week or two. But again, currently we got about 56% chance of a 25 basis point cut. All right, so here's 8:30. Again, I do not think we're going to get CPI inflation data today. I just don't think we're going to get it. There's 8:30. Algorithms might still try to pick this up. We are seeing some movement at 8:30. Look at the candle, but it's not anything major. And if CPI was out, we would have already seen crazy momentum here. Let me check the Bureau of Labor Statistics. But again, they're not even showing that they've resumed yet for the BLS. Yeah, the BLS, nothing yet. Again, suspension of federal government services. It still says the website's not being updated. Last update was October 24th. So, again, unfortunately, we do no CPI data. Not out. Again, this move is not big enough for a CPI report. This is probably just leftover algorithms that are oblivious to the fact that it's not coming out, reacting to it. CPI generally will cause a boom or boom. It's one of the more influential data releases. Again, we cover it every time, but it's one of the more influential ones. Again, the problem is that the government shut down. So we're just not really getting it right now. Government's back up, but they're just not doing it. Again, we'll probably see like a delayed update. My guess is we'll get an update to when it's coming out sometime today. Sometime today, we'll get an update. Oh, it's down? Oh, it's out. Yeah. Jobless claims. No, we're not getting that today either. Again, the jobless claims is the Department of Labor. At the very least, they updated their website here to show, due to the enactment of the CR, everything's back as of yesterday. So at least they updated their site. But again, nothing from CPI, unfortunately. Next week, we'll start getting more stuff, I'm sure. And again, we were supposed to get PPI tomorrow as well. So, all right, NASDAQ coming down here on this report, or on this no report. Will we cut rates in December? I got about 1,100 votes on this poll here today. Will we get a rate cut? December. Yes or no? I'm gonna keep it really simple. Yes or no? So Core AI Holding, CHAI, announces $5 billion global AI data center initiative, seeks multi-billion-dollar financing with government and banks. Yeah, no data today. Government shut down. Again, I thought there's a chance they might release it, but what I was doing was I was looking at the BLS site to see if they would give us an update. Like, hey, we're going to release the delayed data from September here for PPI or CPI or whatever. Instead, they just didn't update their site at all still. No update to their site. Department of Labor updated their site, which is good. But again, jobless claims aren't coming out for them either. So, still waiting, but where is the Bureau of Labor Statistics today, though? They should at very least update their site. Add a little bit more to this. Look at the NASDAQ fall here, guys. Wow. I guess people see no CPI data, so they panic, maybe, is what this is. That's a drop, though, man. The market's been falling in the morning here. Wow. Again, jobless claims delayed, CPI delayed. Yeah, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. AMD and microchips falling down. Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys, the people that have been here without data. We've had data. It just hasn't been big data. Good news is that the data's starting to roll back. I appreciate you guys, though. We cover all the market news that comes out throughout the morning period. So, I mean, I think people know we're reliable with, even if we don't have any big news, they can still tune in. Even if they keep it on in the background and we're going to announce any big thing that moves markets that we can see. But I appreciate you guys. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell. Yeah, we appreciate it. Feds Daily says, I tend to lean on AI not being akin to a tulip bubble. Got Aaron, Adam Aaron, talking about something. What is Adam Aaron saying about AMC? He said, AMC already uses AI to become more efficient. We also deploy AI to dazzle our guests. In that pursuit, we made a multi-million-dollar investment in Nova Sky Stories. Nova stages massive, mind-blowing, and beautiful aerial drone light shows. It might be better than the popcorn move. You know, we're gonna start selling popcorn. That'll save our business. You know, AMC says. Even if they keep it on the background while doing research of ghost videos. Ghost videos are cool. I like ghost videos. Blah, 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 delusion. Blah, blah, blah. Is that that's an Adam Aaron quote, I think. Maybe, might be wrong. Don't copy me. Yeah, Bitcoin falling down a little bit. NASDAQ trending lower. AMD down, Nvidia down today. Honestly, I'll go back to this saying, and I think it's an important concept for people to understand in markets. A lot of markets are buy the rumor, sell the news. What do I mean by that? A lot of markets are going to go up in anticipation of something like the government reopening. If you look at the QQQ or the NASDAQ here, as soon as we got the news on Sunday, what happened? Government went up in anticipation, or the QQQ, SPY, all that stuff went up in anticipation of the government resuming. Now that the government is back up, we're down a little bit or sideways. What does that mean? That means people get loaded into the position in anticipation of something happening, and then they sell once it actually happens to lock in profits ahead of, you know, profit taking. Bitcoin falling down to 102s right now, chat. Look at Bitcoin in the bottom right here. Bitcoin is down more. Yeah, Bitcoin held at 100,000. It's still kind of testing these lows now, though. Again, Fed's Daily says he doesn't think we're in a tulip bubble with regards to AI overvaluations. I did a poll. Will we get a rate cut in December? 70% of votes and about 300 votes say yes. 31% say no. I've got 10 tulips. Trying to sell them for 5 pennies each. You know, pennies are no longer minted, so. NASDAQ still breaking down here. Let's watch 25 fives. We're seeing some red the last few days, though. Are they AI tulips? They can be, you know. All right, here's 25.5. NASDAQ's starting to creep up a little bit more. He was getting deeper red here on the day. It's at 618s from 620s. Nvidia falling down as well at 191s here. All right, Bitcoin's starting to rise around 102. 102,000 on Bitcoin is right here. Also, y'all check out Top Step. No PDT in futures. Listen, it makes no sense to fund your own account thousands of dollars. You're probably going to lose it. Instead, try Top Step. The base one is $50 a month. It's not the end of the world if you fail it. If you pass it, 90% split, similar to funding your own account. They pay out millions, fund thousands. They're also a sponsor of mine. I'm biased, but this is genuinely useful. You can reset funded accounts as well now. A lot of really good rules, useful stuff, reliable payouts. Check them out. I'll put the link. I'll pin it to the top of the chat as well. I don't even claim to be a good trader, not an investment professional. So don't copy me. NASDAQ did bounce right around 550. We are seeing Bitcoin bounce around 102 here. Here's 102 even. Is there still going to be a crazy move or no? We honestly did get a reaction to no CPI data here. Like this drop kind of started. 830 was right here. And so we did get a little bit of a reaction here from no CPI data. I think they fill the gap today or tomorrow. On which side? We legit discuss valid topics in here. Yeah, I mean, if it moves markets, I'll try to talk about it. Heard that song. CPI is canceled. The Bureau of Labor Statistics is dropping the ball here, though. They should have been updated their site. Department of Labor knows. At least they updated their site. Okay, so in the way, again, we're probably not get a October CPI report, because the October CPI is pulled as a big data collection run by the BLS. They survey people. They use Consumer Expenditure Survey (CE) to do this. They ask thousands of families and individuals to keep detailed diaries and interviews about everything they buy, from a gallon of milk to a pack of gum or a doctor's visit. They create the quote-unquote basket. They use this data to create a, quote, representative basket of about 80,000 goods and services, and then they assign weights based on how much of the average person's budget it takes up. Shelter is the biggest weight, over 30%, while something like postage is tiny in terms of percentage. And then they pull the 80,000 prices. So the BLS has hundreds of trained data collectors called economic assistants all across the country. They do in-person visits for most of the month. They physically visit or call thousands of retail stores, supermarkets, gas stations, doctors' offices. They are trained to find the exact item to ensure a perfect comparison. A 12-ounce box of Lucky Charms cereal goes for this, etc. You know, if an item is gone, they have a complex substitution process. For the shelter component, they have a panel of 50,000 housing units. And so essentially, like, during the entire month of October, these assistants haven't been able to do it. They could have done it. I don't know why they wouldn't pay these guys. You know, I guess they've been deemed unessential workers and furloughed during the government shutdown, which is kind of dumb, because the market economy, the Fed, needs this data. We got stuff like ADP, but we got to see where inflation's at. And so either way, the point is, October, they weren't doing this in October, unfortunately. They just weren't doing it. And so, unfortunately, we might never get the October data. We'll get the delayed September data for, like, PPI. We already got CPI was 3% year over year. We'll get the delayed September data for PPI and JOLTS and jobless claims maybe and other stuff. But, yeah, government shutdown kind of took away an entire month. If we don't get October CPI data, it will be the first time we haven't gotten that data ever since, like, it was either the 1940s or 1930s since this data stuff has started with CPI and everything else. So it'll literally be the first time in history we don't get this data. If so, are we gonna have CPI data today? No. And the title might say no CPI inflation. I'm not saying it does. Yeah, I'll put it up in the bottom scroller as well now. A DCA into 0 day to expiry options and hold them into the ground. Is that you, Burry? Just kidding. Burry could slap me with his wallet. I shouldn't make fun of him. What's your opinion? Do we dip and then rip? Or rip all day? I don't know. The Nasdaq's looking kind of weak this morning. So maybe we rebound into the opening bell. Disney says new ESPN streaming service has done extremely well, but does not release numbers. Okay, this is the problem I have with ESPN. I'm an MMA fan. I watch a lot of UFC. They haven't been the most reliable streamer for sports lately. It feels like every big pay-per-view they're struggling. ESPN. And so, but they didn't release the number. Disney didn't release the number. Disney's down. They reported earnings. Earnings were mostly flat. They beat EPS and revenue by slight margins, very slight margins. And I think guidance was mostly flat as well. And so they're down from their earnings report. Down to 110. Maybe it's worth a buy here for Disney. Should I buy Disney right here? You know what? I'm going to buy it. We'll buy it. Yeah, he did close down Scion Capital. But again, the rumor is that he's just taking it private so he doesn't have to report to all these market analysts every freaking quarter and get heat from it. Every time Michael Burry reports any position, everybody freaks out and they start overanalyzing it. Like I do here. I could talk about it probably too much. I'm sure Michael Burry's kind of tired of that. And so the rumor is he's taking it private so he doesn't have to do quarterly reports. 13F filings, basically. I don't know if that's true, but that's the rumor. Headphones dying. Swap this out. Are the data is outcome? No, I think. No, the data is not out. Not coming out today. This connected. I don't hear anything. Bitcoin fighting back up, almost back up to 103s. Market's very flat right now, though, leading into the opening bell in a couple minutes. Disney's mostly a swing trade, I think, but it might be a longer term one. And I might decide to turn it into an investment, depending on how bad I do on it. That generally, honestly, works pretty well, but Disney's going to be fine long term. Short term, who knows? Ren. I think Burry wants to be able to trade without limitations of having a hedge fund. That's probably true, and he's got enough money to where if I was Burry, that's what I would do. But again, the problem with Burry, I said this earlier, is that there's an incentive to prop things up from all kind of like different agencies, rating agencies, investors, traders, hedge funds, big money, AI centers, companies. You know, there's an incentive to keep things propped up. And so even if he's correct about the overvaluation speculation that he's been making, if you're too early and you take too big of size, you're still wrong, you know? And so that's the problem, is that if you're too early and you take too big a size, you're still wrong. And again, I'm not even saying he's wrong. I don't know. I'm assuming he lost money on those positions considering he shut down Scion Asset Management. And he would have to. And if he bought him 45 days early September, he was probably down on Palantir and Nvidia. I think he actually posted saying he was out of those positions as of let me see. I think he said he was out of those positions. Yeah, he said that was done last month, on to much better things starting November 25th. So he did make this post where he said he was kind of correcting some of the big news, basically said that he was down 912 million, or he risked 912 million, and he clarified. He said, I bought 50,000 for 184 each of those, so I spent 9.2 million, not 912 million. But he said that was done last month. You could say he was saying that was done like he did that last month, but I think he was saying he covered that last month, which makes a lot more sense. He sent that letter saying he was closing Scion October 27th. And honestly, that's right around where Palantir and Nvidia were at their peaks here. Put this into perspective. 27th of October was right here at $190 a share basically for Palantir versus him entering it here at 150s. So video, you can do the same thing. If you look at it, October 27th was here at 193s, 194s. So versus early September, 160s. Again, I don't know for sure though. Again, I'm purely speculating. Union Starbucks baristas launch unfair labor practice strike in 40 cities. We know when CPI will be released for November. Do you mean November CPI, which would come out in December, or do you mean October CPI, which would come out in November? Again, Disney CEO says bullish on studio slate, including Avatar, Fire and Ash, Toy Story 5, and live-action Moana. Says 80% of subscribers to new ESPN app subscribe to the bundle of services at Disney Plus and Hulu. He said there is not a correct size for the balance sheet. Oppenheimer also raised Nvidia's price target to 265 from 225. Do you mean the October data for November? There's a chance that we'll never see that. Because again, they don't have the people they needed to pull the data, unfortunately, because the whole government, that section of the government was shut down in October. So there's a chance we'll never see the October data, that we'll get the delayed data from September, and then we'll just kind of skip over October and then go to November, which will come out early November, I think, for payrolls, or early December, I mean, for payrolls, is what I think will happen. But again, this is just guessing. Again, the Bureau of Labor Statistics is not updating their website as of today. They're still showing this website is currently not being updated due to the suspension of federal government services. Shout out to the Department of Labor, though. They at least said, hey, we're back up and running as of yesterday. I think he's excited. Yeah, maybe. Workday, Harry? I don't know. I don't know a lot about Workday. I think I've used this before, actually. I didn't like it. It was a little bit too difficult to use for me. They're down, though. I don't mind the dip that they've made, to be honest. I think the dip looks somewhat reasonable to buy, but I'm not telling you to buy it. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. I don't hate the price action, technically. Or on a technical perspective, I don't hate the price right now for Workday, is what I meant to say. But with that said, it's not a business that I know super well, and so I'm not the most comfortable with buying it. Yeah, I don't ever, like, Ren, I get it, but, like, I'm not going to go into that too much. But regardless of how I feel about it, you know, you got to separate morality and investing, I think, to be honest. But I get it. I mean, I'm not, you know. Yeah, tech is having another red day so far this morning. Again, if you look at the Q, which is more tech heavy than like the S&P, it's at 618s. Because of the tech weakness, we've seen indexes like the Dow have pretty good days, although the Dow's red today as well. But look at the Dow since August. Again, a lot of people are going to say the movement in the Dow is rotation outside of tech. And I think that's probably accurate. I think people are moving outside of tech. They're less excited about tech. They're worried about Michael Burry being right. They're worried about tech overvaluations. They're worried about corrections and a bubble bursting and all the other fears that we've heard in the markets over the last few months. And so because of that, the Dow is less tech heavy. Dow's been moving up almost to 50,000. So we'll see if that rotation into the Dow continues today. I don't know. Benson value stock volume is high. Yeah, I'm up really nice in SoFi, to be honest. NASDAQ still testing these lows again, breaking down on no CPI inflation data. GE. GE has done very well, man. And honestly, I remember looking at GE between like 2017 and 2020s and being like, there's no way I'm buying that. In hindsight, I should have bought it. Because look, it came all the way down. Look at these moves. So it came all the way down from 150 down to what? What is this? $28 a share. Today it is at 300s. That's a crazy gain for GE. It's done incredibly well. The problem is it's up so much short term. And when I mean short term in this context, I mean like 5-4 years. It's up so much. I'm a little more skeptical of it, but that's just me being cheap. Yeah, long term, the biggest statistical edge in markets is just dollar cost averaging into blue chips and indices long term. And when I say long term, I mean decades. You're pretty safe. Nothing's 100% safe, especially in risk on markets like equities, but you know, you DCA right, you avoid risk and diversify, you're pretty protected. Not an investment professional, don't copy me. Market might crash today, I don't know. If I plan on buying the house in the next 2 to 3 years, my answer would be treasury bills. If you were saving up for a down payment on a home, what would you DCA into? I mean, yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. Again, not an investment professional, but bonds. Yeah, bonds. Bonds right now. Market, the overvaluation fears might be correct. And so if it had to be the next few years, or if you're like retiring imminently soon and you don't want to take too much risk, you pivot to risk off markets like bonds, treasuries. That's the smart move. Money market accounts, you know, certified deposits, CDs, whatever you want to do there. I mean, there's a lot of ways, but the problem is that even if we have the best trajectory predictions or the best projections, I should say, for the next few years, problem is markets can crash anytime. Nobody really knows. And you know, that's a risky thing if you're retiring imminently or you need that money short term in the next few years. People take too short term approach to markets a lot of the time. Like you see people like, oh, if I just sit in the S&P for 4 years, I should make X amount, you know, averaging like 10% or whatever they're doing. Problem is, a lot of people are so stuck on bull markets right now that they've never been through a bear market. Look at the NASDAQ break lows again. The NASDAQ down under 25.5s. I'm looking at 25.5s to see if it holds underneath the level. But the problem is that bear markets can happen. And, you know, the statistical edge in markets is long term, including crashes, right? 10% on average, 8, 9, 10% on average for indices. But that's long term averages. Meaning short term, we could crash and downtrend for a year plus. We can crash today or tomorrow. We could downtrend. You know, it's not risk free, and you could always lose a huge chunk of your money short term. And that's why like dollar cost averaging is usually what the professionals do, which means they buy specific time intervals up with specific prices or with specific sizes, regardless of price, right? If it goes up, they buy. If it goes down, they buy. Over time, that curbs volatility a little bit. But again, it's a long-term strategy. Short-term, anything could happen. So, but with that said, the biggest statistical edge is long-term dollar cost averaging, value investing, whatever you want to do. When's job data releasing? It was supposed to come out last Friday. We're waiting for the Bureau of Labor Statistics to tell us. But again, they have been MIA. We're not really seeing much from them, even though they should be open today. Again, the Fed's daily says services inflation has not been declining at a steady clip. He said there's a little more concern that the labor demand will continue to slow. Speaking of labor, He said, I think risks are in balance at the moment, still slightly higher on employment or the labor market. He said the balance of risks has been highly on inflation until mid-25 and started to shift and balance out. Grayscale Investments filed for an IPO. Fed's Daily also said unequivocally no to raising the 2% target. Yeah, Burry's probably out. %20 shorting the NASDAQ. Hey, good job. Yeah, pennies no longer getting made today. I don't know when the last time I used a penny was, to be honest. Probably a smart move. People are going to complain because people don't like change in general. No, not the penny. But you guys know y'all aren't using pennies like that. Come on now. Yeah, rip the penny. All right, let's see if the market drops again at the open. I'm too much of a germaphobe to pick up pennies, I find. Unless I see pre-1970 on it, you know. If I see a penny, I'm not touching it. After a certain amount of inflation, the risk of picking up a lucky penny goes down. Or it goes up. Again, yesterday was a red open, and I think a red day overall. Let's see if today is going to be a red day. Yeah, I saw that already, Pawn, about Daily saying services inflation has not been declining steady. Yeah, I got that one already. Daily's still speaking. He's been speaking for a while this morning. Hammock says, I'm worried about the labor market via Market Watch. So the Fed's Hammock says, worried about the labor market on Market Watch. I don't even use cash like that anymore. AMD down at 252s. Government reopened. Yeah, but I think it's a buy the rumor, sell the news dynamic. I've said this before. I think the real moves we got in markets were leading into the, like, as soon as Sunday, it looked like we were going to get a deal done. Like, you got to understand, analysts, algorithms, they watch the market incredibly close. And because it was in I had an incentive for the government opening back up. I was watching it pretty closely on Sunday. I was checking it all the time. Markets ripped up as soon as Thune came out saying, hey, we've worked out a deal to end the government shutdown. As soon as that happened, markets ripped up, crypto went up, everything went up. And again, now that the government is officially back open, we're seeing kind of the other way, right? Which is, again, very similar to buy the rumor, sell the news. Years ago, Elon Musk, I think he was pumping up Doge ahead of 420, April 20th. If you don't know what that is, I mean, you know. But ahead of April 20th, Elon Musk was like pumping Doge up. It was going to be some big extravaganza for Doge price. So what we saw is we saw Dogecoin price go up in anticipation of 420, and then it crashed on 420. You know, why does it do that? Why do markets do that a lot of the time? They do it because people buy up the rumor, and then once the actual effective date of those things happen, they start taking profit. You know, and they try to get in front of everybody else, so it causes this kind of snowball selling dynamic where you just get a bunch of sells. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen today, but I'm not shocked the market's not flying up today either. You know, I think a lot of the markets have already made their move up. It's not as big of a move as people thought they would. But, you know, maybe at the opening bell, we're going to see some different movement on the upside. I'm not sure. Again, looking at our poll, 70% of people think we're going to get a rate cut in December. I don't know. Canada got rid of the penny. I lived in Canada for a little while. They have loonies and toonies. And a 19-year-old gambling age. Shout out to Canada. Went there when I was 19. Used to take a Greyhound bus all the way through Chicago. Chicago bus station, sketchy. I take it from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, all the way up to Chicago, all the way up to Mackinac Island, I think is where I'd get off at. And then they'd pick me up at Mackinac Island and drive. Sketchy, but fun. You know, it was fun to see the world. Wouldn't do it again. You know. I don't know, I'm in SoFi right now, low 20s. Where I'm in it, or mid 20s. At 32 now. Doing pretty good. I'll probably just sit in it, to be honest. NASDAQ's still breaking down here ahead of the open. Yeah, I'm looking for market updates. I don't really see anything big. Daily speaking, Hammock speaking. Hammock says we might have high inflation sticking around according to Market Watch. He said he's worried about the labor market. Or she says she's worried about the labor market. So again, Hammock saying, I have high inflation sticking around, worried about the labor market. So so basically stagflation fears is what she's saying. Market's falling. Yeah, but the Greyhound station in Chicago, that's a different level of sketchy. Apple has been denied permission to appeal against the UK ruling. NASDAQ's dumping down here. Wow. Weak. Again, Hammock coming out, scaring people. High inflation sticking around. Worried about the labor market. Stagflation fears by Beth Hammock. We get more corrections in microchips and tech right now. Where's the Dow at? Dow's falling down too. Scary. Into the opening bell today, guys. Scary. Look at NVIDIA all the way down to 190s here today, guys. Ugh. We know it's you, Ramsey SPX guy. We know that's you. Deep down, we know. Listen, you keep throwing darts at a dartboard, eventually it's gonna happen. You know? So if you keep saying we're gonna drop some, we might have green day, green day, green day, green day, and then we have a couple red days. You know. I don't think you can say I told you so yet. I think anybody could act like they're right in that situation. I could say the market's going to crash every day, and then 6 years later the market crashes, and I've been saying it every day, and I'm like, see, I told you so. And honestly, a lot of the YouTubers in the finance space do a similar thing to that. They say the market's going to crash tomorrow, and then the market goes up 3%, and it crashes, and it drops up 1% 3 days later, and they're like, see, market did crash. 1%'s not. You have the time to listen to me whine? I like Green Day. I like their old stuff. I listen to some of their albums. 90s. Bitcoin's not really dropping that much. And the NASDAQ honestly retraced all the way back up here. I'm trying to see if Beth Hammock is still speaking. I see Apple denied permission to challenge the UK tribunal decision on the App Store fee, saying no to an appeal. Are you sure about that, dude? Explain him to me. I don't know who that is. Bullish every day. I try to be honest. If I'm biased, I'll tell you. And I'm definitely top 3 most biased person ever. But, you know, at least I'm telling you I'm biased. The real way most people do it is they'll give out like 5 calls. So they'll give out 5 picks, right? And then like 1 out of those picks runs big. And so they ignore the other 4 and they're like, see guys, I called this. Like, yeah, kind of. But you were wrong about the other 4. And so you're really 1 for 5. You know? That's how most of them do it. Especially at penny stocks, right? They'll be like, hey guys, I'm watching these 8 penny stocks. And then one of them runs up like 100%. And they're like, see? I told you guys about ABC penny stock. Like, yeah, kind of. But look at that level right here, guys. Look at that right there. Yeah. Honestly, that's how I feel. Are you sure about that guy? That's how I feel. Blaze. You know? That's how I feel about markets right now. I feel like I'm that guy. Speaking of, I can't think of anything to correlate it to, but look at gold right now. Gold pulled it back a little bit this morning after tapping 4250s here. College person said she told me getting an A in every class but 3. She had 4 classes. That sounds like a story I'd tell my parents. No. Again, tech's still falling. Nvidia down to 190s. Meta down technically red on the day. AMD down to 252s right now. Honestly, I like Canada. Canada's really nice. Mostly good people. The winters are brutal. And somebody like me from Louisiana, when I drove in Canada during the winter, I was slipping and sliding all over the place. Luckily, I never hit anything, but there was risk. All right, NASDAQ still trying to get over 475 here. We got 15 minutes until the market opens. Bitcoin's still falling down. Here's 102s right underneath us. Gold corrected a little bit. Nvidia's starting to bounce back. Low build up into the end of the month and a strong push higher. 1st of December. Would you call that a Santa rally? You think that's what we're going to get? Maybe. Like the world is operating like Wall Street Bets. I would argue the world is Wall Street Bets. I think if you take the smartest traders and you take the dumbest traders and you form an average around it, I would think that average equals Wall Street Bets. You know. Hey, thank you for the donation. First bubble pop, quantum stocks dumped. All my short ETFs are up over 100% since October. Rigetti short, IONQ short, QBTS short. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely pulling back some, for sure. I don't know if I'd argue they popped. I think pullbacks are healthy. And I think if you put like a long-term trend up in these, pullbacks are kind of healthy. Now, quantum is still really early, though. Right, but the question is, do we bounce at some of these levels for quantum stocks? Here's QBTS, IONQ, the other one, Rigetti, RGTI. Rigetti's pulling back heavy, though. Rigetti's actually down like 50% from its peak. So, is it time to buy quantum stocks, guys? I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. Kind of weird we talk with traders all around the world in a little chat window. Yeah. It is weird. But hey. We're in the age of technology, sir. Quantum is not done. Open get back to 9. Is open back up to 9? It is back up to 9, man. Open doors have been running. This is on potential lower interest rates. 50-year mortgages. Portable mortgages. I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about all that. Should have shorted right here at 475. I think we're green on the day. I think we got into a couple trades. Hammock says, getting back to 2% inflation is critical. Yeah, I think 50-year mortgage makes me nervous. I think 30 years is too long to be in a freaking mortgage. You know? You just rent the house out on a 5-year mortgage? I mean, you could, but you're still going to owe a crap load of money every month. You know, a 5-year mortgage is going to consolidate your payments into much larger sums monthly. It's not going to be like $1,000 a month for that 5-year mortgage. It's going to be like $30K a month, $20K or whatever it is. I don't know. When you add in amortization and, you know, insurance and all that stuff. And so you can, but the rent that you're going to get from that property is going to be a small percentage of what your actual mortgage is going to be. Even right now, right? You can get a mortgage. What you rent that property for is probably going to be less than what you're going to have to pay in a mortgage most of the time. And so how many people with 50-year mortgages are passing that debt down to their children? Yeah, but I mean, on the other end of that, children don't have to take the house. They can let the bank have it if they really don't want to pay it. You know, in that regard, the kids are still getting a pretty good deal in terms of like they're taking over a property that at least has some of it paid off. You know, so they'll still have equity. You know, so yeah, 50-year mortgage is going to be drawn out more. All right, guys, we got 9 minutes until the market opens. 9 minutes. What do we get today? Okay, so the United States Department of Agriculture did release export sales data for the week ending September 25th. Bro, you got to give us a timeline for releasing this stuff. All right, let me check the BLS site. Here's the BEA, which is stuff. Bro, give us a timeline here, guys. Okay, BEA is not updated. BLS is still not updated. the Department of Agriculture. This is how I would imagine the Department of Agriculture site looks like. You know? Fits. Oh, this is the Texas Department of Agriculture. Of course it is. Yeah. Of course, these are government websites. All right, so we will have import-export data. When was the next time it's supposed to be released? Next Tuesday is when import-exports are going to start again, I think. Was Powell paid during the shutdown? Yes. You know why? It's because the Federal Reserve is not a government entity. NASDAQ and everything else popping back up a little bit. Let's see if we hold. We got 6 minutes. Crypto will suffer today. All right, guys. Hey, we got 6 minutes into the opening bell. See what we get today, guys. And I really don't know what we're gonna get today. You can buy a castle in the UK with $1 million, but a paper house. You might be able to buy a castle. I'm not necessarily interested in the UK housing market, though. I mean, I know I live in the United States, so it's probably not much better here. But yeah, mortgage. The argument for mortgages is that you can pay less than you are in rent and then pay off to own the property, right? Over the last 3 years, it hasn't been like that anymore. And the market is actually much more difficult. It's a lot cheaper to rent now than it is to get a mortgage in most areas, to be honest. So that dynamic and that argument for buying a house isn't necessarily there anymore. I would love a castle in Scotland. Scotland's it's cool. I can't understand anything they're saying, but you know, Scotland looks cool. Beautiful country. All right, NASDAQ starting to fight its way back up here. Chat. Morgan Stanley raises MU price target to 325 from 220. Morgan Stanley. Again, U.S. car loans surge as subprime 60-day defaults hit record 6.65%, which is the highest since 1994. 1994. Yeah, listen, I think houses, I just bought a property a couple years ago, right? So, and I think if you do the math, it makes sense. You know, but it's not the same dynamic it used to be, right? The reason it makes sense is because houses most of the time appreciate. You buy a $300,000 property, and it appreciates an average of 4% a year. Wait. It appreciates an average of 4% a year. It's going to be worth roughly this much. So it's going to more than double in value over a 10, 20, or over a 20-year period. Not only that, but let's say you get a 3%, you get 1% a month, and so $3,000 a month in rent, right? That is going to appreciate as well, about 4% a year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so in 20 years, you're going to be able to get $6,500 plus in rent versus $3,000. So your rental income will go up. The value of the property will probably increase as well. You'll owe more taxes, and it's certainly not passive. It's a lot more work, but like it's a little bit diversified, and so there's value in buying a property, and I think that's why big money is buying up a lot of properties. But it's also expensive and time consuming. Right, so let's subtract, I would say 40%. So let's call it 650. I can't remember what the number is. Oh wait, I should have done it times 0.6. 40%. You're still gonna make money off the property long term, and you're gonna earn more rental income from it as time goes on as well. All right, guys, the opening bell is almost here. Man, markets have been wild today. Up and down, big amounts, down now. Look at the market fall down here. Oh, dude, Meta is flying up right now. Is there some news for Meta ahead of the opening bell? Love to see it. Why is Meta up so much right now? Look at Meta. Here, guys, I bought it. I added size to it this morning. Look at this. Why is the market falling? What is dropping the market? Microsoft. Google is down right now. White House asset says the jobs part will be released for 1 month, but not the unemployment rate because of the shutdown. It says recommendations about housing will be made to the president in the coming weeks. So we have economic advisor Hassett. So we're not getting unemployment, but we're getting jobs data. All right, here's the opening bell in 30 seconds, chat. 30 seconds. I expect 1.5% lower GDP because of the shutdown. We're going to get half the employment report. We will get the jobs part, not unemployment rate for 1 month because of shutdown. Okay, so we are going to get a labor report for October, it looks like. I'm assuming they're talking about October, Hassett says. I'm assuming they're talking about October. So we are going to get a labor report, which is good. It was supposed to come out last Friday, but we'll see when it drops. All right, guys, here we go. All right, there's the opening bell here, guys. Let's see what we get. I don't trust anything right now. We've been whippy in markets for sure.
This is the end of side 1 of this record. Please now turn it over for the second side. This is the second side.
All right, guys, there's the opening bell. I gotta wait 5 minutes at least. Looking red, to be honest. Looking heavy. We're about a minute into the day. Still looking pretty heavy here. Yep. Testing lows of the day. Just cracked it for a second. Continue down. Why'd you convince a family member not to let a lot of cash sit in their bank account and instead invest it into ETFs? I wouldn't try to convince him. I would ask him how long they have. My argument, again, I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Don't copy me. I'm, have no idea what I'm talking about half the time. I wouldn't try to talk them into it. I would ask them how long they have. If they have a decade plus, then I would just show them the statistics behind it and say, look, if you got time, don't touch it. Dollar cost average into it. Don't get excited about a 20% gain in the sell. Instead, just sit long term, 10 years plus, and you'll almost certainly make money. If they're retiring imminently or they need the money soon, I would just tell them to buy bonds and sit, personally. But again, that's me. Everybody's different. The real reason, you have money managers, people that manage your money. The reason we have people that manage money is because most people get excited about small gains and sell. So, the real edge is sitting on it and never selling, But people get excited. They make 10%. They're like, ooh, and they sell, and then they're not into it for the next bull run or whatever. So it depends on the person. Again, like I said, not an investment professional. All right, guys, we're pretty choppy at the open. We're dropping in NVIDIA. NVIDIA's testing 190. But I would argue the jobs numbers influence markets more than unemployment rate ever did. Unemployment rate, if it's bad, it might, we might see some stuff, but yeah, the Bureau of Labor Statistics still not really updating us. That economic data from the Labor Department. They still haven't updated us, really. Very choppy open again. Okay, so the White House advisor Hassett says the October jobs report is going to be released with no jobless rate. Good. He ended his remarks, but he said the jobs report is going to be released with no jobless rate. So no unemployment rate, but we're going to have payroll data, government and private payroll data in the jobs report, which is good. They said, I don't see much of an argument not to cut rates. I expect 1.5% lower GDP because of the shutdown. All right, AMD moving up, NVIDIA down, Meta is up, which is good. Risk averse is good most of the time. Right, exactly, Blaze. That's what happens to most people. All right, we're now cracking lows again here. Here we go with Meta. Nasdaq looks weak right now, though. Again, one of the things driving markets, Google. Out of 280s. Deep red again today, chat. First day of the government resuming. I'm gonna buy this dip right here. See if it holds. Right around 400. You guys see this? Okay, there it is. I'd add a little bit to it, but it's a risky endeavor. All right, there we go. We're gonna add right there. There's 400s. Again, we got a cushion on this account already on the day. Might remove half of it right there, though, just for risk management. Go. That was right at 400. Gotta cut it right there. Still green on the day, but small. I wanted to see if we bounce at 4, and we just didn't. And when we break through 4 so quickly here, it's kind of sketchy. I'm kind of scalping some of this meta position I'm adding on this dip, see if we bounce it. If not, we got enough cushion on the day. Nasdaq's still tumbling down here. It's mostly sparked by Google again. Market's scary again, though. I don't know if I want to touch this. Bitcoin down to 101.8. It's weird that it happens on the first day the government resumes, though. But again, kind of going back to that buy the rumor, sell the news dynamic. I think we're kind of seeing stuff like that. Bitcoin video, another deeply red open here. If I'm being honest, I'm just glad they're going to be releasing October data for jobs. We're going to get an updated report for September. We're going to get an updated report for October. We're not going to get unemployment for October, but at least we're getting something. Yeah, I mean, I'm still green on the day in meta, but I'm going to have to start, like, I'm going to cover it around break even right here, because the drops are kind of sketchy and everything's tumbling down. And I'm not going to lose too much on this today, to be honest. Yeah, this is too steep for me to really get super interested in. I still got most of my meta position too, but a steep drop again today. I wonder how mad Michael Burry's going to be if the market does crash and he was like a week late. He exited his position a week early. Maybe they make a movie about it. Yeah, we see the Dow. Look. Dow's still down as well, though. Bitcoin's trying to get back up here. XAI is going to raise $15 billion in Series E round. Again, White House announced that October jobs report will be released without an unemployment rate. Oh, Burry would be heated. Burry's chilling. Burry's way. Barely closed down Scion Capital. I don't think he's chilling. Closed it down early last week. Honestly, guys, what's really dropping right now? Alphabet. 79s. What does it mean that he closed his fund? I mean, he closed Scion Capital. All right, I'm still in meta most of the position. I sold like a small piece of this, and meta's starting to fight its way back up. But I'm not the most optimistic here. Nvidia is falling all the way down to 188 right now, guys. This is what's dragging the market down. It looks like a bounce, but I also don't trust this at all. Regarding the Nasdaq. Bitcoin all the way back up to 102s here, though, which is good. Maybe just the news that we're getting, the jobs report, made people optimistic. Hassett said we could get the September jobs report next week. The September jobs report has already been cooked. Good. Bring it. Release it. Again, if you want to check out Top Step, great way to help support the channel. No PDT roll in futures. I'm day trading on Top Step right now. It's just a great way to limit your risk. Like, some people hate on like the prop space, but most day traders lose money. And now when I say this, nobody really has an argument outside of it. Like, you think it's better for them to fund their own account thousands of dollars to probably lose it? Of course it's not, in my opinion. It's subjective, but I lost thousands first getting started. I wish I had something like this. $50 a month risk, no PDT rule, allows you to risk something, feel the pressure, feel the burn of trading with risk, but not risking $5, $10, $20, $30, $40,000 and losing huge chunks of money like that. Limit your risk. They pay out millions, fund thousands. Zero commission in Top Step in futures. Very similar to day trading stocks in terms of patterns, in my opinion. But again, they're a sponsor of mine. I am biased. I get paid by them. Here's the link. Check it out. Great way to help support the channel. No PDT on futures. NASDAQ is still breaking down here, guys. Look at the NASDAQ fall. Again, it's too heavy for me, and there's too much risk right here. Again, my meta position is actually really doing well here, which is nice. That was my Home Depot position I bought earlier. Tomorrow's Friday. We ain't got no jobs. No. I'll let you guys finish that quote. Nvidia down to 187s. Tech is weighing on the markets. You got it, Blaze. Right. All right, guys, look at the NASDAQ tumble here. Here's Meta dropping too. I'm green on Meta still, but not much. Again, I will start cutting Meta if it keeps dropping crazy today. Home Depot's treating me right. That's good. Where's my treasury bills? Again, the government opening is buy the rumor, sell the news here, chat. Again, we are going to get an October jobs report. Good. Yesterday, the bad news is that we probably wouldn't. If we didn't, it would be the first time ever we didn't get an October report or a monthly report. But now they're coming out saying they're going to do it. I think my guess is it's probably just bad press to not do the report. They're like, hey, we got to release something. It might be completely inaccurate, but they got to throw something out there. You know, feed the finance bros. Like me, I guess. AMD down to 250. I'd rather them throw something out there than nothing, even if it's wildly inaccurate for selfish reasons. Bull or bear right now, chat? I don't know what to do here. Right, I'm still green on the day. I don't want to really give it back, but the market's so steeply down, I can't really comfortably buy it. I don't really want to short it either. I don't know what to do. Or bull or bear in chat, let me know. Bitcoin testing the lows of the day again as well here. 100,000 is getting kind of close. You know what? I'm going to sell some of this here and just limit my risk right now. Keep my risk small. Chop to the year end. Honestly, maybe we're setting ourselves up for a Santa rally if we drop leading into December, and then December we could start to run. I've seen that happen before in previous years where we drop mid to late November, go into December, start to rally into December up until New Year's. I've seen that happen a lot. Even though we get tax harvesting at the end of the year, I do see, you know, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. Not an investment professional. I'm just saying it could. Tomorrow. All right, guys. Again, I don't know what to do here. We're kind of sideways in a lot of things, but a lot of tech is also down big. I'm just not really sure what to do here. Santa's broke. He bought $700 NFL tickets. Yeah, that's plausible. I don't know why I just typed NFL into the sticker box. What was I trying to type in? Oh yeah, gold. Gold dumping down here as well. Under 4,200s now for gold. Warner Bros. Chairman says 3 aggressive bidders with different points of view with assets could overvalue or could offer value. What would Kramer do? Right now, I'd say Kramer would probably... Kramer would probably... I don't know what... Let me know what Kramer would do. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. He'd probably sell, but I don't know. Again, I'm still checking the government websites to see if we're going to get any type of update from this stuff, dude. At the very least, we're going to get labor data, September data early. We're back up in a lot of stuff. Honestly, my stock portfolio is kind of flat on the day, getting propped up by Home Depot and Meta and Target and Treasury bonds. Down in SoFi. Down in Disney. I bought Disney, right? Is Disney still dropping? Not the worst drop, though. Part of me wants to short into this. All right, we'll try. I'm going to short this begrudgingly. Maybe not. We got a rejection here. I'm going to go ahead and cut it right there. We got an immediate reaction. Yeah. Yeah, I'm in SoFi. I'm in SoFi. I'm in SoFi at like 20 something, like at 30. So we're up 80%, or we're up 20% position. It can't go on. Yeah, the problem with that quote though, Timothy, is there's a level of like definitiveness in your quote, right? Nothing has to happen. Nothing has to bounce. Nothing can't continue. Listen, whatever direction you think it needs to go, it could certainly continue in the opposite way. Nothing's 100%. Now, there might be a higher edge in one specific direction, but nothing's absolute. And we could go either way indefinitely, you know? And you got to trade markets with that understanding, because if you don't, you're just setting yourself up to fail, my friend. Yeah, I don't know. The levels, the drops are so steep, my levels are getting kind of close together. I don't really trust any of these. Maybe 400 right here. We get up there. There's 375 that we're tapping right now, but maybe 400. Free trading in the zone. Markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. This is my favorite quote. Trading in the, Mark Douglas was actually a great guy. I don't think he said that quote, but Mark Douglas, super smart guy. Rest in peace. Great trading book. All right. How you guys doing today? Red or green? Look at Bitcoin, guys. Hit 103.5s. Back down to 103s here. Yeah, no CPI, unfortunately. Government's back up and running, though. I don't think we're going to get PPI day tomorrow. I'm assuming... What I hope they do is they schedule these inflation reports and these labor reports that we missed. Like, I hope they don't just blindly release them out into the market without giving anybody a warning about the delayed data that we got from September. I would imagine they're going to say, hey, this data is going to come out at X amount at X time, you know, on X date. Hopefully they're smart about it and they don't just start releasing things, you know. When did they release this? Last one's August. 350 bounce here. Trolling, I'm serious, but trolling, have a great day. Don't be a, you know. Yeah, listen, guys. I'm just gonna say this, all right? I'm here out of the kindness of my heart. I would never, you know, be here to make money on stream. I would never do that to you guys, you know? That's just not what I'm about here, you know what I mean? But if you want to check out Top Step, check them out. It's a great way to help support the channel. They're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased, but a great way to learn. Most day traders lose money. And so if you try to day trade with your own account in the beginning, you're probably going to lose thousands of dollars if you fund thousands of dollars into your account. Most day traders lose, 90% plus lose. And so instead of risking that, instead, try Top Step. Great way to learn. $50 a month for the base one approximately. If you fail, you lose $50. It's not the end of the world. If you pass it, 50K funded account, 90% split. They have super reliable payouts. It's the best way to learn with some risk, not the full risk of thousands, instead small risk of $50, relatively speaking. And so again, if you want to check them out, I'll put the link up. Great way to help support the channel. Also, just to clarify, that first time was sarcasm. I'm definitely here to make money. Everybody doing this is here to make money. You know, nobody's streaming for hours and hours every day because they're out of the kindness of their gentle heart. Like, everybody doing this is here to make money. It should be a reasonable expectation. So, there you go, guys. There's the link if you want to check it out. Again, they're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased. Understand all this stuff on screen. NASDAQ is running back. My MetaTrade is doing much better here. Much better. Look at all the stuff on screen. Can't guarantee anything. I am a nice guy. Listen, I'm the nicest guy ever. I'm nice enough to tell you I'm here to make money. Of course I am. It's not a reasonable expectation. Anybody that tells you they're doing this out of the kindness of their gentle heart they're just blowing smoke, man. You gotta see it for what it is. Anyways, I'm gonna cut out of here. Meta's trade doing pretty well. I think I'm just going to leave it. Yeah. I mean, I love trading too. I think you guys could probably tell. Definitely top 3. Listen, as soon as I close this stream, it's going to bring you to tomorrow's stream. Stick around. Maybe we'll get some of these delayed reports. I don't know. I'll be checking the sites today. You can give me a follow on x.com at beginner trades on X. Hold on, let me. Hassett said we'll never actually know for sure what the unemployment rate was in October. How are they still speaking? I'm actually green on the day right now. Is this meta? It is. All right, guys. Hey, I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Have a great day. Again, stick around tomorrow. We'll see if we get some data releases. I'll see you guys later.